Mic check, testing, 1, 2, 3. Coming in a little bit hot here. Mic check, testing, 1, 2, 3. How's everyone doing today? Hope you're all having a wonderful time. I just sat down in front of these lights and they're very bright. I don't know what it is. The bright lights really dry out the eyes. I think it's the eyes responding and trying to do something about it. Hello to everyone out there. We're in our pre-roll right now. I'm running a little bit behind, which don't even ask me how that happened. You know what? I don't know what it is. If I have 10 hours to get everything done and I sit down in front of the computer, it's going to take me 10 hours. It's going to take me the entire amount of time that I have, because I will continue to work until the very last minute. If I have 2 hours, I'll get it done in 2 hours as well. It just might not be as good. So today I sat down in front of the computer at 10 o'clock after doing 10 hours in front of the computer yesterday. And all the way through up until about 20 minutes ago, maybe 30 minutes ago, I started getting up and went and did wardrobe and hair and makeup and all that stuff. And here we are now. So 9.5 minutes to go, and we're going to have a heck of a show today. I got everything up on screen, so admins and chat, and if anyone needs to speak with me and how to get a hold of me through good old Facebook. And then we have our on-screen YouTube chat where we have some very lovely people already rolling on in. We got Future Fortunes. Pleasure to see you again as always. And I hope everything is well at the home right now. I know we spoke a week and a half ago and 2 weeks ago, and I hope everything's doing good there. Richard in the house as well. I look forward to people getting an opportunity to see your face tonight with a great interview that we have going. Or not even an interview, just a discussion on Mercari, which is going to be great. Julianne in the house, pleasure. Tamara, hello to you too. Those of you who don't know, Tamara runs a pretty neat little Facebook group, and we don't really do promotions on this channel anymore, but she is constantly putting out like pretty decent quality bolos from the Brickseek app, as well as other little things of interest for resellers. So maybe get with her if you're interested in kind of diversifying the groups that you're in. But it seems really, really friendly, very similar to the nature of our group. I haven't seen any drama or problems over there. Hello to you, Rhiannon. That's a great name. I've never seen that one before. And happy Sunday Fun Day. You know what I call it? Funds Day. That's what I call it. Funds Day. That's the day where we make the most money, right? We get all of our sales coming through on Sunday. Secondhand everything. What's up, everyone? What's up to you as well? We got to get you a little icon that better represents that brand. You got that little blue head right there. And Richard, we got to get you a nice little round emoticon too. Maybe get with Pam. She's good at editing down images and making them fit within specific spaces. Thank you to both Pam and Richard for assisting within group chat tonight to make sure everyone's up and going. Guys, last chance to jump in and allow and help this episode be ad-free. We didn't pick up any new patrons this week, but if you'd like to help out and sponsor this episode, the information is right above my head. We do have a new $5 tier where you can support our show for just a few bucks less. But looking like a fun show tonight. I'm in the right energy. My coffee's barely starting to kick in right now. We got a handful of interesting things to speak about. Nothing too crazy. We've gone ahead and redesigned the shelf. So here on the bottom we have some long-term holds, as well as that statue I picked up the other day, which I still need to get on eBay. I'm a little backed up right now. And then a couple other long-term plays as well. A really great mug. If you those of you who don't know. The first year that I was doing this, a handful of patrons got together and got that for me, and I really appreciate it. It says World's Best Mentor. And then we got some of our robots returning from their long departure from our shelf. And I apologize, I had the patron ones and I have them to the side. We got to redo it again. I've been inundated with projects, some books, a little bit of light, and then we got a pop figure up there. It's good old Patrick Star, and then a weather globe, and then a hat from the old business that I used to do. So some new decorations going on there, and I'm going to try and keep that fresh as well. But hello to everyone who's here today. Let's have some fun. It's going to be a live Q&A as always. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to leave them in the comments. And tonight we are going to be aiming for about 1.5 hours on our show this evening. I know who else is in there as well. I know there's a couple of you little lurkers in there too. Last minute work. Corgi Hill Attic. Hello and welcome. Corgi is one of our newer patrons as well. Happy to have you as always. Donna Cherry in the house. Hello to you, Donna. Donna, did you know you are the last person to have given a super chat, and that was 21 days ago? Last person to help directly donate to the channel. Crazy. I was just looking over the stats before the show and I saw that. I'm like, that's a little wild. Mr. Exquisite, hello to you as well. Fat Girl Sewing, another one of our newest patrons. Thank you for your support as well. Always appreciated. Yeah, Donna, I know. Wow. It's a little wild. I know we had a lot of support before eBay opened. Everyone really wanted to give a hand. It's gotten a little stagnant since then. We have a lot of new faces here. And as always, hello to the new people out there. I know there's a bunch of you who were told to come over and check us out. I'm doing a speaking appearance at a I think it might have been a sanctioned eBay event. It's coming up here soon. I know they announced it, and I know there's a bunch of you that are new here for that, so thank you to that. And I know CatCon directed a bunch of people to come over as well. So if you're here and you're new for the first time, welcome, and thanks for tuning in. I'm happy to have you. We're 4 minutes away from top of the hour where we'll be starting our show. I'm running behind, but you're not running behind. We're always I think we're always on time. We had one technical issue where we were running late in the last year, but I think we're on track. Oh, and just so you guys know, I do intend on taking December off. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet. I plan on doing one episode in December and one only. And let me see what the calendar looks like. So we have the 27th. Let me see what next month looks like. And then next month, I think we're going to have... I hate looking at the calendar here on an Apple computer. It's absolute trash. I don't know. I think we have 5 more episodes before the end of this year. And I think we're going to go through and we're going to bundle them up and turn them into seasons, just so they're a little bit easier for people to track where they're at and what they've seen and what they haven't seen. Because I know that can be a little bit challenging on YouTube. Anyone get any breakfast pizza in this morning? I don't know if you guys saw my post on my personal Facebook. And feel free to add me too if you want. I notice there's some people, like I've got a request here from a guy named Robert Beresnack. And I don't know what it is, but sometimes when people join these reseller communities, they just tear through and they add everyone under the sun. Apparently I have 53 mutual friends with this person. So if you want to add me on Facebook, by all means, feel free to. Just do a search for J Craft and you'll see the gray icon and all. If I don't add you right away, I apologize. Or if you're from Pakistan and your profile doesn't look legitimate, I might not add you either. And then while I'm on the topic, boys, stop adding fake female accounts because then they end up getting mingled in and then I get suggested them. So Zyda in the house, our newest top tier patron. Thank you for joining in. Happy to have you for one of our live shows. We're going to have a good one tonight, and I know that we had talked about multi-platform selling, and I think you're really going to enjoy the discussion that we're going to have on Mercari tonight. I'm excited about it. I'm going to be starting my Mercari journey probably Tuesday of this week. So we're going to be answering a lot of really great questions on air, and then we're also going to have Richard in the house to answer any additional questions. So thank you for tuning in, and a huge thank you for being our newest patron. Thank you for sharing that link, Pam. Yeah, definitely check out our Facebook group if you haven't. It's 100% free to be a member within our Facebook community where you can jump in and ask questions and offer help to other people. Those of you who don't know, our Patreon as well as our Facebook is probably one of the most community-driven programs anywhere on the internet to be a successful reseller. And, if you're a good person, and I think if you're a good person or not, and you want to help be a part of our community, please come join us over on Facebook. And if you'd like to help out a little more, please consider joining our Patreon as well. It can't be Pat the reseller unless he's present and accounted for. So happy to have you as always, Pat. I was talking with somebody the other day and they mentioned you. They said that you say great things about me, but the person who mentioned you said some exceptionally foul things to me at the end of our conversation, and me and her are never going to speak again, which is terribly unfortunate that somebody can harbor such evil within them. So, sometimes certain characters, it'll happen that way. Lake Tahoe Gem, thank you for the hello. Hello to you as well. Thank you for tuning in this evening. We got a smaller than usual crowd, but that doesn't mean that we're going to have a smaller than usual show. If you guys don't remember, last week we screwed up the intro, and I've managed to practice it, and I think I've gotten the details sorted out. So shall we try it one more time with the new music and see if we get it correct? I mean, maybe we will, maybe we won't, but there's only one way to find out. Let's get this started. What is going on, guys? This is Jay Kraft with the Facebook group Bolo Around Pickers Lounge, coming at you live again from beautiful Bakersfield, California, the one and only. Today is October 20th, 2019. I am thrilled to be here with you today because we have more exciting news like we always do, but beyond the news, I've also returned with some great pickups, and not from here. This town's been a little bit dry as of recent, but I have gone to Fresno, my old stomping grounds, to pick up some more items again. Hit some thrift stores, hit some swap meets, and I had a fantastic time with quite a number of friends, which I'll talk about here soon. On top of that, tonight we're going to be talking about eBay's exit from Libra, the Facebook cryptocurrency that we talked about probably about a month ago. And if you're like me and you've been curious about Mercari, tonight is the night that you're going to want to tune in. Unlike other platforms we've talked about in the past, Mercari is actually gaining traction within the e-commerce space. It looks like they're going to be doing something pretty big here. I think we might actually have a true contender to the powerhouse that has been eBay. And I'm going to give a little bit of additional color on that after we play a very, very special discussion that I had with Richard Eberhart earlier this week on the topic of Mercari. So we're definitely going to jump into that now. I also want to say, those of you who are here for the first time, welcome and thank you. This is a live show. If you're watching it at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on October 20th, if you're watching this later, do me a favor, okay? Leave me a comment down below and tell me you tuned in. It helps us out. The more people that comment during, the more people that comment after, it helps other people find our content. And also, if you enjoy it, leave us a like as well. Now, last week's show, okay, we had a bunch of great questions, a bunch of great answers, which you can feel free to ask over on the side. We talked about USPS and the new rates that we're going to be looking at in January 2020, some of the small changes that you might need to know, especially if you're working with packages in the 10 plus range. You could see quite a large difference. On top of that, we also talked about a string of unfortunate Amazon-related delivery deaths and why they are starting to cut back on some of their contractors, as well as changes to how the USPS slots are going to be working due to mail phishing, as well as, and mail phishing, not like going out and fishing for some mail. We're talking about like literally trying to use a stick and rod to pull mail out of a mailbox. And we talked about one of the biggest bolos of the year, at least for me, one of my biggest buys, that Tokidoki figure back there, which admittedly isn't doing too hot just yet, but sometimes we got to play the market a little bit and kind of wait these things out. So again, hello to everyone here, and a big thank you to our admins that we have in the house tonight. I know I've seen Pam and Richard, but I believe Mindy might be somewhere. So hello to everyone who's tuning in, and a thank you to all of our admins. So let's see who else we have in here. We got a bunch of pleasant faces in the audience. We said hello to many of you. We have L Hall in here as well. Money from Mars in the house. Andersey's Hunt. Last year we did 100K on eBay. Ooh-wee. Well, then you might appreciate some of the discussion that we're having today, because I'll be honest with you, last year on eBay was better for me. The year before last was better for me. This year, it's been a little bit tricky. My sell-through volume percentage is not where it used to be previously, and we're going to talk about how diversifying your portfolio of selling platforms, and particularly why Mercari might be viable based on the types of items you have for sale, could allow you to maintain those 100K a year numbers without having to increase your workload. And we're going to talk about that more for sure. Lance Folk, great to catch you live. Great to catch you live as well, my friend. And admins are present but juggling. Brandy, you know what? I don't know why I don't have you in my notes up here. I forget. You know what it is? We haven't given you that little icon yet next to your name to make you an official admin here on YouTube. Let's go ahead and do that. Add moderator. Thank you to Brandy, as always. And let's switch over to our main screen really quick. Whoa, we got a $2 super chat from the one and only Lake Tahoe Gems. And he or she says, thanks for sharing. Hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And those $2 will be squandered. I can promise you I will buy something with no margins and probably eat it. That's the plan. Maybe I'll get a muffin or something. I appreciate the $2. Now, we drive it right back into production. All the things you see are completely paid for by the patrons who are helping out with everything that we have going on. So, without further ado, you know what? I wanted to talk to you about taking time off. I don't know if you remember last week, before we dive into the news, last week I talked about how, I rarely take time off, and a lot of people don't understand that. They don't really see just how hard I actually work. In a given year, between the months of January and November, I'll usually take anywhere between probably 5 to 10 days off. And I know that seems like a very, very low number. And part of it has to do with my upbringing. Part of it has to do with my personality type and my desire to continue to push hard and make things happen. And then when you're an entrepreneur, like most of us here are, we wear a lot of different hats. And it seems as if, though, no matter what we do, we can always find something to do. Because we don't have a set parameter of things that have to get accomplished, the hard worker in us will constantly find more things. It's just how it is. If we don't have any inventory, well, we can go get some. And if we have some, we can go ahead and photograph it. And if we have it already on the shelves, well, we could probably organize it and make it easier to get through, or organize our ship station, or run some ads online, or call some people who might be selling things, or hit the thrift store, or hit the swap meet. We can find ways to fill our entire day every single day. That's just how it is. And it's not difficult to do that. And with that type of mentality and that constant drive, which partly is due in part to not having a plan B, and I tell people this all the time, a lot of us have the luxury of a plan B, whether that be a husband or a wife or a family or your partner's family. If all things, hit the fan, and you for some reason or another fail, maybe a large medical expense hits you or some other type of emergency, most people are going to be okay. Those of us out there, and I know there's a few of you who reflect and understand with what I'm saying, those of you without families understand the push that we have within us, because we are our own plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. So we work. Well, as of last week, I had a very, very bad bout with food poisoning, and it put me down for 6 days. 6 days of pure bed rest. And I had told myself I never have this kind of time off. I frankly didn't know what to do with it. I forgot how to relax. I didn't want to watch movies. I didn't feel like playing video games. I had almost forgotten how to relax. And that was due in part to the fact that last year in December, when I usually take the whole month off, I try and take December off, I had to do a move. And it consumed my entire month. So it's almost as if though I've been working 2 years straight. So this week I decided to take 3 days off. And it was glorious. I left here and I went down to Fresno. I spent some time with my buddy Scott, who was having a birthday coming up. I went to the casino, had a great time. Those of you who are curious, yes, I left with a hearty profit, about $200 plus, which isn't bad when you were down $500 at one point, but pay no homage to that. I left with a great profit, which covered all of my expenses. It covered my gas, it covered my food, it covered my entertainment for 3 whole days. The casino, they pay for my hotel and they pay for my food up there based on previous play. So my cost was very light, but I got to do some rock climbing. I got to do some disc golf. I got to spend time with friends I haven't seen in well over a year plus, even though I'm down there often, just the scheduling conflicts. I got to see my dear friend Susan, and we got to go to the swap meet and pick up some amazing items that we're going to look at later today. I even went to the GMT warehouse, and some of you might be familiar with GMT. They manufacture board games, war-style games, particularly best known for Twilight Encounters or the Twilight Imperium. I believe they did Twilight Imperium, but I know for sure they did Twilight Encounter, which is a game that we've shown here before on the show, and I got to go through their whole warehouse and be a part of a really great board game convention as well. It was just great. It was 3 really nice, relaxing days. So next time you need a break, just, pretend like you're sick. Pretend like you have to take this time and just do it, because you're always going to find work. There's always going to be work there, whether you really have the time or not. So sometimes you have to kind of force it. And sometimes you have to schedule those breaks and actually take them yourself. So I just wanted to share that with everyone before we got started on today's news. And yeah, we have some interesting stuff that we're going to be talking about. Firstly, let's thank our patrons. As always, we have a bunch of them now. I think we're up to 34. We're really trying to get to 40. Would love it if some more you jumped in and helped out, but we want to give a big thank you to Zaida, Pam, Matthew, Ashley, Anna and Joe, Lee James, Brandy, and Rob as our top patrons, as well as thank you to all of our other patrons who are helping out too. Now, guys, I wanted to talk with you about Libra. Now, if you don't remember, Libra is the cryptocurrency that Facebook is attempting to create. Now, cryptocurrencies, you might have heard of Bitcoin, Litecoin, stuff to that effect, is essentially deregulated or unregulated digital currency that isn't necessarily backed by anything, but uses a thing called the blockchain to ensure that you don't have things like double spend or fraud activity happening. All transactions need to be verified, yada, yada, yada. If you missed that one, I recommend going back and watching it. And we're going to talk about just briefly today because eBay decided to pull out of this. Now, eBay had already agreed to put $10 million up to be one of the 100 companies that Facebook is looking for to be able to create this Libra currency, as well as their partner app, Libra, which was going to act essentially as a digital wallet. Now, when I had heard that eBay pulled out, I thought that maybe this had something to do with the new direction that eBay was looking to go, because when they had joined into this agreement, if you guys don't remember, Devin Wenig was still the CEO, and he personally has a vested interest in cryptocurrency. He's had a passion for it previously as well. Well, after doing a bit more research, I looked into a lot of the things that had happened with it, and the Wall Street Journal put together a really good story that kind of encompassed everything that happened, and we'll get links for the video if you'd like it as well. But basically, there was a lot of pressure coming down from lawmakers and regulators regarding Facebook coming to the table and creating a new currency. As you guys already know, Bitcoin doesn't really have much regulation. It's because there's not really a person to go to and start regulating the process, and there's no real way for the government to impose power over it because no one really has to listen. Okay, you know, the government wants to tax Bitcoin currently, but no one really has to pay that money on that if it's an technically untraceable, technically anonymous type of digital currency. And we'll talk about why I used air quotes on that here in a second. Now, the main people that were pushing back on this, we obviously had Trump, Chairman Powell, Maxine Waters, as well as some European officials were pushing back on this. Now, eBay's statement when they pulled back out of the agreement with Facebook or Libra or Libra, they said, "We highly respect the vision of the Libra Association. However, eBay has made the decision to not move forward as a founding member at this time. We are focused on rolling out eBay's managed payment experience for our customers." Now, this is an absolute load of BS, the way that this has been phrased and put together, at least my personal interpretation of it. I just want to be clear on that. But there is a little bit of hint of something that you want to keep track of on here, and the fact that they said founding member. They don't want to be a founding member as of right now. But that also says to us that they want to leave the door open for the opportunity to come back. Now, why is this important where eBay is investing their money? Because eBay, as they said here with their statement regarding managed payments, they have a vested interest in reducing the cost of payments, because if they can lower cost of payments, they can in turn get more money into their pocket, as well as potentially creating a more frictionless experience for the consumer and making transactions happen a little bit faster. Oh, and I forgot to mention too, for the 38 of you who are watching, I forgot to put it in my notes, we're going to talk about returns today too, and mitigating Q4 returns. I just want to make sure I threw that out there for those of you who are looking for incentive to stick it through this story. So as far as that, knowing what eBay is going to do and having a bead on where they're going moving forward can allow you to personally mitigate your risk on your end as far as how much time and effort you're going to invest into a particular brand, whether it be eBay, Amazon, Polish, Mercari, wherever moving forward. If a brand starts doing things that you don't necessarily agree with, or you feel that their policies or the way that they're spending their money isn't congruent with the long-term vision that you have for your brand, that's when you start looking into alternatives. Now, me personally, I was a huge fan of eBay's decision to actually put money into what I consider to be a very smart tech play, because it's not just them on their own. There was 28 companies who did it. Now, you can see I've X'd out 5 of those. There was 28 companies at the initial launch, and Facebook said that they were looking for 100. Now, they've also said, hey, we're really not worried. We got 1,500 potential companies who want to be a part of this. Now, why they haven't moved that goalpost further with those companies and actually started converting them across, or possibly even increase the number of companies that they were looking to have on board with this much demand, is a little bit confusing to me. Now, PayPal also stepped back, and those of you who don't remember, 7 or 8 years ago, PayPal and eBay used to be the same exact company. And when PayPal left, their stock price went soaring, and eBay's tanked. It was quite an interesting thing to see. PayPal's statement says, "We remain supportive of Libra's aspirations and look forward to continued dialogue on ways to work together in the future. Facebook has been a long-standing and valued strategic partner to PayPal, and we will continue to partner with and support Facebook in various capacities." Now, PayPal's statement is a lot more supportive in the way that they've said it. Now, if we look back at eBay's one, they said, "At this time, we are focused on rolling out the managed payments experience for our customers." Now, the rollout it's already set in stone. It's not a complicated process for them at this point. They've even openly stated, I even heard Devin Wenig, I've heard his voice into my ears state that the managed payment process is running smoothly. We are only being restricted by the agreement between us and PayPal. So for eBay to state that we need to focus our attention over here is an absolute falsehood. They really don't need to. The managed payment program, they've done it here in America. We got 10% saturation. They rolled it out in Europe after the numbers started dialing back here in America, which we're going to go ahead and discuss in a future eBay Revealed video about the problems that eBay is experiencing with managed payments that we haven't spoken about here on the show just yet. But it's just interesting to see the contrast between the two brands. Now, what's the issue with the lawmakers, and why are we seeing lawmakers push back and pretty much scare brands into stepping away? Because if we look at it, we have eBay, who is one of 3 commerce platforms. And those of you who don't remember, we talked about Mercado Libre before, which is, I believe it's it's an Argentinian e-commerce brand. It's one of the largest ones in Argentina. And then Farfetch, which I went to for the first time today. And boy, oh boy, if you want to be disgusted and you want to watch money die, I dare you to go to Farfetched. I'll tell you what, for Christmas this year, buy me anything from that site. Just get me anything. I saw some really nice $260 keychains on there. Yeah. Really cute ones. I saw a belt for $580, and I saw a $380 skateboard deck. So if you want to be disgusted with high-end products that are way beyond our reach, go ahead and visit the Farfetch site. So eBay was the first of 3 e-commerce brands, arguably the largest of those 3. And then we also had PayPal, Stripe, Visa, and MasterCard step back as well. Now, the 4 payment processors stepping back, I'll be honest, that is a very big deal. And as much as Facebook would like to mitigate and say that it's not that big of a deal, it certainly could be argued that that could be somewhat of a death blow. Now, if it was 4 companies in another sector, like let's say Uber, Lyft, and then, you have the scooter brands, it was from a transportation sector, nobody would really care. If you had them coming from the travel sector, no one would really care. But when you lose 80% of your support within the payment sector on a payment program, on a payment brand, then I think that would give other brands and other entities room for concern. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now. CatCon says, "What is Farfetched for money launderers?" It might as well be. Some of the stuff on there is absurdly expensive. I noticed a couple of you just jumped off the stream so you could go check it out. Wait till after the show, please, guys. So yeah, basically what's going on right now, why we have seen this push is because lawmakers simply don't trust Facebook. Now, part of this is due in part to the fact that most of the people within, Congress, Senate, Judiciary, House, etc., are all over the age of 50. Okay, and a lot of them simply don't understand tech. No disrespect to the 50-plus-year-old community out there that's capable of using Facebook and YouTube and the internet and live streaming and all of those things. Fantastic, great to you. But when we come to really modern, advanced concepts like explaining how a blockchain and privatized currency works, It's a very, very difficult concept for those who haven't grown up or haven't taken large amounts of time to understand tech to really be able to wrap their head around. And frankly speaking, a lot of the people within those government positions aren't willing to take the time to learn it. And I can even pull up some highlight reels for you of people who are asking some of the dumbest questions ever because they simply don't understand how the internet works. And I've seen senators ask questions like, well, does that mean that everyone's able to read my emails then? And just simply baffled by the concept of the internet. So part of this has to do with the issues that Facebook has had in the past as far as security and privacy and security breaches, as well as selling off information to other third-party companies for large amounts of money. So that's part of it. And then the other part too is they don't really like the idea of Facebook controlling currency, because the thing that you have to understand is that the fact that Facebook is so flipping large that if they decided to do this, and I'm surprised that they even slowed down and allowed room for questioning opposed to just barreling into this, if they allowed this to happen and it became a currency overnight, and tomorrow morning you woke up and Libra was a thing, we would have to address it. We would have to talk about this brand new currency because it's going to be so big. It's going to be immediately big. 100 million people are going to have, or more, are going to have instant access to a brand new form of currency. That's horrifying. So that's partly why we're seeing government intervention, and we're seeing a lot of brands stepping back and saying, well, didn't you already get this sorted out? Why isn't this done yet? Why are you getting called in now, having 2 congressional hearings over something that should have already been sorted out? So part of the other thing too is that there is concerns, and we even spoke about this, about the potential of a destabilizing currency within other countries, and frankly, potentially undermining the American dollar as well. I mean, how horrifying would it be to know that a private company like Facebook has a currency that's available here in America that has more buying power than the American dollar? I got into a debate with my friend Susan the other day, and we were talking about the increase to minimum wage here in California. I want to be very, very clear that I have spent extensive amounts of research trying to understand the impact that an increase to minimum wage has on a city by city and even on a statewide or countrywide basis, because there seems to be a lot of confusion. And she said a statement that that kind of stuck with me, and I've shared it with others. And she said, I don't mind paying a little bit more so that other people can have, enough money to be able to live and survive. And I responded to her, and in just as many words, I said, it's not a matter of giving people more money. Okay, giving people more money creates inflation. It devalues the dollar. The problem is that the dollar currently doesn't have enough buying power. We need to increase the amount of buying power that each dollar has, opposed to just giving more people play money. Because if we look at the Zimbabwe $100 billion bill that you can buy on eBay for like $6.50 shipped, that just shows you what happens when you continue to print too much money and you continue to devalue your currency. So if we have a situation like where Facebook comes along and all of a sudden you have this new currency, the Libra, and what happens if it has $1.10 worth of buying power? Okay, just 10% more value than the American dollar within our own country. People are going to want Libras over US dollars. Okay, and that's a horrifying idea. Now imagine if you have a country where your buying power is hyperinflated. We're talking areas like Zimbabwe or even Venezuela or pretty much any place that's tried socialism and failed. If you go to one of those places and you have a currency that can completely stabilize a country because it's checks and balanced against the American dollar and the yen and the franc, and it has this checks and balance system in place, it will become the new default currency for that country. And governments are horrified with the idea, even to the point where India said, we're not going to allow it in our country. And they said, we're not going to allow it. And Facebook even agreed. They said, okay, fine, we won't put the Libra in your country. Now, when you have that already happening, yeah, I kind of get why people get cold feet about it. It makes complete sense. So I personally believe it is possible, but it would have to be done the right way. And then one of the other concerns that was echoed in voice was the fact that people are worried about crimes being committed with this currency, or essentially using this money to pay for wet work or pay for drugs and stuff to that effect. Those of you who are not in the know, wet work refers to murders or hitman jobs. So they're worried about things like that being happening with the money. But the reality is that this currency would be more transparent than traditional cryptocurrencies. And supposedly, they were able to crack the anonymity of cryptocurrency the other day, and they had this giant, what was it? Pedophile, sex file archive dump from South Korea. And they were able to do like this big FBI sting and arrest a ton of people who had been using cryptocurrency to buy child pornography. So as far as the anonymity of Bitcoin moving forward, that's even in question. But even when it was originally created, it was said this isn't meant to be an anonymous form of currency. You're meant to be able to use it with the more of a veil of anonymity, but that's not why it was built, and that wasn't the original intention of it. I'm going to take a look at some of these comments over here, because I've said a lot of potentially controversial things. Also, guys, if you haven't done so yet, please like this video. It does help us out. We only got 5 right now. We could use a little bit more. And if I haven't done so yet, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Jack O. Lantern. Yeah, he'd like you to subscribe to our channel, guys. It'd be very, very helpful. That is unfortunate. So let's take a look at some of these comments over here. An increase will throw things out of alignment. Yep. We really got to make sure that everything is balanced out. Central banks run everything. They won't allow it. You know, I'm kind of seeing the same style of pushback from the good people at Philip Morris against people like, or people who enjoy flavored tobacco as well as flavored THC products. It's very interesting to see that same type of compare and contrast, but fantastic comment. And Mr. Highly Relevant Commenter, thank you for joining our show this evening. Pam says, overvalues cushy jobs and devalues the hardworking Americans that make this country run. And that is the biggest problem right there. Those of you who don't know, I intend to leave California before this minimum wage increase happens. Because if minimum wage gets to $15 an hour here in California, guess what? I have play money at that point. Okay, I don't want to be in a state where my money holds no value because they're essentially giving it away to everyone. $15 an hour is insane, okay, as far as a baseline minimum. So someone skilled and a seasoned worker like myself should be able to walk into any type of place and demand $25 an hour because I know how good my skill set is comparatively speaking. And when everyone starts demanding higher wages, because some people are going to see almost a 60 or 70, 80% increase in their wages over the minimum wage that we have here in California, that amount of money just being handed out. But furthermore, the reason why it can be semi-mitigated is the fact that in other states and other cities where this has been done before in the past, we've actually seen people earning less money. How is that possible, you ask? Well, the employer simply can't absorb that cost, and what they do is they'll draw the hours back, okay? Less hours, and then they'll find ways to reduce cost within the business. So they may either reduce the food cost, they may pile on extra work for more people, which is one of the most common themes that I've been hearing, is that, you know, somebody who used to go in and they would have one thing that they'd have to get done, now they have 2 things that they have to get done. They end up carrying more weight as a result of the accelerated pay. And well, frankly, why not? We're giving you twice as much money. I expect twice as much work out of you. And with that comes the fact that people's wages are going down as a whole. So the average person, the average employee in target demos like Seattle, for instance, have seen a decrease in wages of 10 to 15% from where they were before the mandated increase occurred. Tamara Agostino, 499 Super Chat. Thanks, Jay, for your shows. I love the higher level of learning. P.S. My first Super Chat. Hey, thank you so much for that. Here, I'll tell you what, because it's your first one, we'll give you a brand new GIF that I don't think we've ever used on the show before.
Nice.
There we go. That's a fresh one for you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you dropping that $5. And again, we will make sure that gets some good use as well. Let's take a look at some of these other things. And yes, Pam, I also agree. And I don't mean to get on to a tangent regarding the skilled market, but it's something. Here's the other thing that's important to understand and why I feel so passionately about this. We live in a echo chamber separate from all other working professionals. because we are in charge of generating our own revenue and determining how much we are worth per hour as essentially commission-based, self-employed people. When everyone else gets more money, we take a pay reduction. It's important to understand that. As more people get more money, our money is worth less. We in turn get paid less. Now, there are clever and creative ways to mitigate this by doing new and creative things to be able to capture more of those potential dollars, because there is a large subsect of the market that will take this additional money if they do actually get it, and they will squander it. And it's important that when they do squander it, they squander it in our direction. And as these changes start to happen, we will put together videos and we will discuss how to capture money during a falling or a reverse economy is maybe the best way to look at it. But yeah, again, thank you, Tamara. That means a lot. I truly appreciate it. We are up to a whopping, that will update here in a second, I believe a $7 total on the evening. And I got a compliment on my shirt. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, we try and rotate them out every week. I think we have a 20 shirt cycle now. I'm looking to get it to 26. So that way I can wear, a different shirt at least half the year. Anything more than that might be too much. But yeah, what else do we got going on with that? The last concern that they had for Facebook when they were talking to him during the hearing, and I recommend if you've already seen my show, and I think we both know there's not much other great content on YouTube to watch. No, I'm kidding. There's so much great stuff. If you're looking for other stuff to listen to in the background, like quality background noise, I recommend going and listening to those congressional hearings. It's really, really interesting. It also shows the fact that we need to get some fresh blood, some younger talent into Congress, younger talent to fill in some of those seats in Senate as well, just so that people can have a better understanding of things that are actually going to be important for the next generation as well. I actually got invited to do a speaking appearance during a live stream at an event in Colorado because specifically I was told, we want to hear from you because you are the youth within this space. You are the next generation of reseller, the next generation of professional e-commerce, and we want to get the young blood in here because a lot of our great talent is hitting 60 and 70 plus years old, and they're just tired of talking about it. I said I'd be honored to. I'd be honored to be in there for you, and we'll probably broadcast that here if there's interest in that as well. But yeah, the last concern that they had was the fact of the money. They're doing this whole thing in Switzerland, and obviously we understand the tax haven that is Switzerland, and frankly, America's worried that they're going to miss out on this, which they frankly will. They're going to completely miss out on this. Why? Because of regulation and red tape and the prohibitive cost of doing business here in America. You all know how expensive it is to do business in here. Yeah. That's just how that is. Let's turn that off. Yeah, so up next, guys, I think we had enough talk on this, and I appreciate you letting me vent my frustrations about the current state of political things. Up next, guys, we have this fantastic interview. I'm going to give everyone 60 seconds right now. Grab yourself a drink. Grab yourself some snacks. I'm going to talk about what we're going to be watching here in just 1 second. This is a great time to get this. Those of you who don't know, Richard is a member of our group. He is a patron within the community, and he is just an overall great guy. Me and him will talk for hours on end about non-reselling related stuff. He's just a very, very friendly person. Everyone within our community is exceptionally friendly. And I asked if he would be willing to sit down and have a discussion with me regarding Mercari. Now, originally, we a couple of weeks ago, we had talked about having a different brand on to talk about SEO and optimization, stuff like that. And unfortunately, our brands had parted ways, and we thought we would talk about a stronger brand that's moving more volume and how this brand can help increase your business. So we're going to be viewing this for the next, it's about a 40-minute video, okay? But it's cut well, and if you've been curious about Mercari, which I have been, okay, this guy sold over 1,000 items in essentially 2 years' time. This is going to be a very, very valuable tool coming into Q4 and a very, very valuable tool coming into 2020. I strongly recommend you take the time to listen to this piece. And again, thank you, Richard. Without you, this episode wouldn't have been nearly as good as it's going to be now. So let's check this out. is going on, guys? This is Jay Kraft with the Facebook group Bolo Roundup Pickers Lounge, and I'm here again with another one-on-one. But this week, we're actually seated with Mr. Richard Eberhart to talk about Mercari. Now, he's been selling on the platform for a little bit over 3 years. How are you doing today, Richard?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there, buddy. Firstly, I just want to say thank you, and I'm very excited to have you on because I've been getting inundated with questions regarding Mercari for probably a couple months now, and you know as well as I do, I refuse to speak on things I don't know well. That's just kind of part of my my trademark. And I know you know Mercari well because you've been selling there for about 3 years now. So if you wouldn't mind, I guess give people a little bit of context about who you are, because I know you work a traditional day job too, and you still manage to fit all of these things in. But give us a little bit of color about who you are and I guess your overall experience with Mercari.
I started on Mercari basically when it was towards the end of beta. I just happened to come across it one day doing searches for alternatives to eBay, and it popped up. I had never heard about it before, so I downloaded it, was checking it out. It looked really simple, so I started listing, and I started in video games much like you, and all of a sudden, you know, after the first week or two, you start seeing orders flying out the door. I was selling half my inventory within 30 days, and that was how fast I had to replenish it. And in the beginning, since it was in beta, they weren't doing fees. They were just bringing people to the platform, and they did that for 2 years. Now, 3 years ago is when they stopped, but all those customers have already been used to shopping on there, especially for Q4. And I mean, it's so simple. I mean, they take the fee out direct. You know, they put the money in your bank. You don't have to worry about PayPal. So they take a lot of different payments.
So you've been doing it 3 years now, okay? Mm-hmm. And just I guess so people have a more richer understanding of what Mercari is. Could you give us like a basic rundown of what it is? I guess in contrast to those of us who are familiar with eBay already.
Okay, yeah. In fact, that's one of the topics I was wanting to talk about. Mercari is simple. It's kind of like you're on an online garage sale, and I know that's how eBay was back in the day, but it's one person buying from another person, and they know this going into the app. So every seller is looking at your stuff, you know you personally. They're not looking at Adidas. They're looking at you. They're not looking at Best Buy. They're looking at you. And that's the big difference, is that personal connection on there versus a business to a customer.
So it's well known within the community that you're buying off another human. It's not like you're not going into it thinking like I might be getting something from, you know, Coach, or I might be getting something from, you know,
GameStop, Best Buy, or Newegg even, like, because I know they have a page on eBay. Now, you know you're buying from an individual.
Okay. Have you seen any brand presence, though? Have you seen any brands try and step up and try and integrate?
Certain GameStop stores have had accounts on there, but it was under, you know, obviously a name, but the inventory was a GameStop, and I actually knew one of the employees at that GameStop, so I knew that's who it was. Brand-wise, YouTubers use it. That's about as brandy as it gets. You know, there's a few video game YouTubers that actually use that platform to buy and sell, and they're very open about it. It's like there's links in their profile and everything.
Now, you touched base on something that I've heard a few times over before, is that it's simpler. Okay. And I have a lot of people that, you know, when people come to me, I always tell them, you know, eBay is a great place to start learning as an e-commerce seller. It's a great place to kind of get your footing, learn customer service, learn, you know, payment management, you know, just the whole experience as a whole. If somebody was starting out with e-commerce, in your professional opinion, should they still start with eBay, or would Mercari be an acceptable place to start for most people?
For most people, eBay would still be acceptable just because you get paid right away. If you're not familiar with how managed payments work on other sites, it may not be something you want to do. You know, Mercari takes a few days, you know, at most. I mean, you have the 3-day waiting period once it's delivered before they can release the funds, then you have to transfer it.
Oh, so the money, it has to get all the way there first.
It's
then
like
the funds get released.
In that regard, where, you know, delivery is made, they have 3 days to examine the item, either request a return or approve it. When they approve it, they automatically rate you. After those 3 days, if they don't, Mercari comes in behind and does an auto rate and releases the funds to your Mercari account. Now, from there, you could either use that money to purchase on the platform, or you could have it direct deposited into your bank. I use Chase, so if I requested a deposit today, they process it tomorrow, and by the next day, it's in my bank account. So it's not terrible bad when it comes to weight, but you have to have a few day period in there between shipping and everything else. And it's one thing is if you want to do free shipping, you have to ship yourself. Or not, no, I take that back. If you want to do Mercari labels, you could do either or. But if you want to ship yourself, you have to do free shipping.
Okay.
And if you do it that way, you can't take the money out of the payment for shipping like you can in eBay.
So pretty much with all e-commerce at this point, you should have a couple $100 in your back pocket,
Right.
when you decide to sit down and get started. Okay.
Even $100 would probably be suffice, especially if you're going to list more than just a couple items.
Now, I guess in continuing on that notion, is there any other things that really stand out in your mind that are different between Mercari and eBay that you feel people should know about?
Well, returns were completely taken out of the seller's hands. We have no say whatsoever. They request a return. Mercari does all the reviewing. There are many categories of reasons that they will not allow, say for fit, smell, even to the case of it doesn't work because they're too stupid to look up the information themselves, stuff like that. Really, the stuff that we complain about every day on the forums that eBay allows, Mercari does not.
Okay, now, so Mercari would you say they're more of an advocate for the seller?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you still hear horror stories once in a while, but that's going to happen on every platform. This time, those small, insignificant things that drive people crazy, you will not see.
Yeah.
Chargebacks never happens.
Okay, well, you've been on the platform for 3 years, and if I remember correctly, you said you've had over 1,000 transactions in the 3 years' time.
25 right now.
And I also want people to understand you have a full-time job.
Yes,
that you work as well. So this is all supplemental. This is
right.
not and pretty much on. I don't want to use the word side hustle, but you have something that a traditional day job, and then you have this as your side hustle to generate revenue. And 1,000 transactions in that amount of time, it's pretty darn good.
Well, not only that,
this here on the side.
Part of that 3 years because I did take a year off to focus on home life and stuff like that, where I wasn't selling at all.
Wow. So essentially 2 years you've done that.
2 years,
that
yes.
volume.
So essentially 2 years.
More than an item a day, which for a lot of people, believe it or not, on eBay, some people simply aren't hitting, a daily sale.
Right.
Currently,
exactly.
Because I think we've all seen a little bit of the slowdown as far as transactional rates are concerned on eBay.
Yes.
Would you say, now you've been with Mercari since beta, have you seen a progressive ramp in the speed of sales or the number of eligible buyers, or do you feel that the buyer pool is keeping up with the number of, the seller pool is keeping up with the buyer pool and things are remaining consistent over time?
I think it's remaining consistent, and that's what I kind of like because you're not being flooded with sellers trying to compete for that one buyer. If one seller comes in, you see an extra buyer come. I mean, it's kind of moving up, pretty evenly. The commercials you see aren't for buyers like you see for other, venues right now. They're looking for sellers because they're starting to get more and more customers coming to the platform, and they want to be able to offer as many possibilities as possible, and they just don't have the sellers yet. Competition is the biggest thing on there. There's virtually none for a lot of categories.
That's pretty interesting. So let me ask you one thing then, okay? Because we've seen other platforms come to the table and try and do, and we've even worked with some in the past, try and do the eBay model again, try and rework it and basically fill in a void within the market. Why do you feel Mercari is succeeding where other brands with the same idea have failed in the past?
Well, to start with, they went the opposite way. They started with the app. There was virtually no website in the very beginning. You had to do everything from your phone, which the younger generation these days does everything from their phone. So when they put all that effort into developing the app first, and you won't hear about glitches at all. So since it's independent from eBay, unlike Bonanza and Prairie Grit and 2K Deal and places like that, you have all the control over what's going on. With List Perfectly now coming around, that might actually be even a better opportunity for people because I know some people hate to do the cross posting just because it takes so much time.
That was actually my next question for you. When it comes to being able to manage listings, I know a lot of people, they'll run their items on both eBay and Mercari, and some go further than that. They'll do the whole circuit. Posh, eBay, Mercari, Etsy, Amazon, they'll run local marketplace and all that. So what is your experience as far as, I guess, evaluating items and choosing the process of where they're going or if they're going to both?
Most of my items, especially in most fields that we do, toys, video games, and stuff will go to both because there are collectors everywhere. And I have found most collectors will either be on one or the other. Hardly ever will you see them being on both, which helps because then certain items that don't sell on eBay will sell on Mercari and then vice versa. So if you do both, you're capitalizing on having those two markets since the overlap is very little.
That's quite an interesting thing to touch base on. I would have actually never thought that there would have been a minimal overlap within a field like collectibles, because it seems like people
Oh
who are,
man, no.
who have their thing, whether it be, comics or Funko
Right.
or, vinyl, whatever it might be, you would think that they would travel everywhere, but you're saying it's more of a compartmentalized.
Yes, even in Funko. It's
Wow.
amazing. I think Mercari sells more per day Funko than Amazon does. I mean, I don't have numbers to back that up, but that's my theory. Because if you look at sold, half the page is Funko, the other half is Radar. Those are the two hot things for Mercari. And you have been for last year. Now you'll see name brands mixed in and everything else still selling quite well, but the vast majority of the sales are in those two categories with those two hot items running the show constantly.
Now we had talked previously about demographics playing into this, and we've
Yes.
the kind of the idea that I've gathered, which maybe you can confirm for me, is that things that are more of like a pulp culture, millennial, maybe even a little Gen Z, is the type of stuff that seems to just organically move on Mercari.
Yes. You're still talking about that under 40 crowd.
Okay.
Now, somebody who wasn't brought up on eBay like some of us were, or have had bad experiences on eBay and left online shopping for a long period of time until this came around.
So you think that possibly the experience that we grew up with, because we grew up as eBay babies, we got on our eBay and we had our shopping experience.
Right.
Do you feel Mercari is now essentially filling that gap for that,
They are.
that 20, 25, 30-year-old generation?
Yes. Every day.
So we're talking toys, comics, collectibles, action figures,
clothes. I mean, I have sold virtually everything and anything. Now, there's certain carriers, yes, that will not move as fast as like maybe eBay would or even Etsy, just because of that sort of thing. Like the stuff that we have sitting right behind you probably wouldn't move on Mercari.
Okay.
But it's an eBay branded product, so obviously, stuff like that. But stuff that we're running across now, from records, vinyl, to video games, to VHS and electronics, everything that is now becoming collectible again. That's the market that they wanted to pick up on. You're talking about busy parents buying for their kids, or somebody who is on their lunch break wants to look for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crowd they got.
So yeah, I've noticed too. It's more of a visual shopping experience where people will get on there and they'll basically scroll through the tiles and just kind of look at what's new, right?
Right. You can actually, and a lot of them do the what's new thing. I mean, they'll pick a category and go what's new, and that's it.
Yeah.
There are people who will use keywords for searches. That's why the tags are more important than ever before. I also found that if someone looks at your item and they like what they see, if they see something they like and it's priced right, but they actually have it, they want to see if you have something else, they were more likely to click on your profile to go see what you're selling. Or they'll even send a message, hey, I see you have this. Do you have this?
Okay.
Every single day I'm getting those messages.
And you feel it's because it's more of the human-to-human experience. So here's the thing. With eBay, I've noticed that when I go on and I just kind of want to shop online, I'm not necessarily going there to look for something. I just want to go shopping. In the same way that you would walk down a mall and that looks interesting. I'm gonna jump in and look at those things. Exactly. Like yeah. When I go to eBay, I don't really get that experience because if I'm looking for Xbox 360 stuff, okay, I'm gonna get 2 or 3 million listings unsorted, and I'm gonna get a whole bunch of accessories, parts, nonsense from Chinese sellers, and now I've seen a recent flood of Hong Kong sellers hitting the market. What type of contrast do we have with Mercari? Are we seeing that type of invasion of listings flooding the catalog or flooding the page as well?
To a point, but it's instead of 2 million, it's 50,000.
Okay.
You're talking 25-30% at most.
And do you feel that thinner catalog lends itself towards more of the experience for the consumer?
Yes. Well, not only that, it leads to more sales for everybody. Because you don't have the 50 million. You don't have Chinese sellers because it's a U.S. only thing. You don't have Canadian sellers. You don't have big companies. So the 2 or 3 biggest competitors on eBay for everybody are not even allowed on there.
Wow.
You can't even open a business on Mercari. You have to have a personal account. So if you are, I know a lot of our viewers and a lot of our members are LLCs or, running they brand themselves. You could still do that with your profile name and all that, but you have to register under your own name because that's what ties with the bank accounts and all that. But you don't see, you can't use a business number. You have to use your social. And that scares a lot of people, but The only people seeing that is a handful of few people at Mercari that are handling accounts.
Okay.
That do the back end stuff and everything. You don't see that as a customer. So.
Speaking of accounts again, you had mentioned that the payouts, they get pushed back, kind of like what we're seeing with the managed payment experience.
Yes.
It's some people are on with eBay already, and in all honesty, it's very similar to the way that Amazon payouts occur, where you have
exactly.
your kind of money pushed back, and then you get it out a little bit later. Have you seen or experienced any issues regarding either late payments or discrepancies in amounts or anything to that effect?
Not a single discrepancy ever. From day one, like in the beginning, you could only request the transfer once a week. So obviously you would do it on Sunday nights because Mondays was the day you had to be in by. It processes on Monday, your rate got Tuesday. It was like a weekly paycheck. Every single transfer I've done has hit the bank virtually at the same time. I know within a few minutes, usually is the same. Every amount has been identical. There's never been a delay processing. I mean, they walk you through it every step of the way. You get notifications saying your payment's being processed. Check your bank in the next 2 to 5 days. I have never, ever seen a glitch like you do on eBay or, I haven't sold at Amazon, so I can't.
Let me ask you one more thing, because I've heard of certain sites doing this. Is that money that's in your account that hasn't been transferred to you, is that spendable on the site?
Yes.
So okay. Now I've heard somebody mention this, and I believe
exactly.
that's certainly going to play into people going and buying things because the money is already there. So it's essentially creating like a secure trading system. You can kind of take things that you have and trade them in for things that you want.
Exactly. And a lot of people do that because you're talking people who are listing their kids' clothes, or they're not professional resellers at all. And yes, there are professional resellers like myself and a few others that are on there, but we treat it like it's, we would talk to a normal person, say they walked up to your garage sale or something along those lines where, you're not acting like you're a business.
You're not sending automated messages when you're on vacation.
Right, exactly. They have a couple of click buttons for automated, like, yes, it's still available, yada, yada, yada. But I even take the time to actually visually answer those one by one. I send out thank yous after every order, which on here is actually encouraged because then it knows you're alive. Because sometimes people will throw stuff up there and then forget about it and disappear.
And then you go and buy it, and then they're just not selling anymore
because they don't see it anymore, and they didn't. They're not checking every single day. So sending that first message to them saying, I received your order, it's being processed, it was shipped this day. Thank you for your purchase. A lot of times they appreciate that. Yeah, and I said, thank you for responding so fast because then they know they're safe and they're secure.
It's the human experience.
Exactly.
It's something that we all want. Well, coming full circle back to the listing process again. Now, you said that a good chunk of the items will get listed to both. How are you managing that currently?
Since they both have apps, as soon as one sells on one, I can go right to the other app, click on it, boom, delete. And deleting off of Mercari is a lot faster than actually deleting it off eBay.
Okay. Have you had issues? Have you had issues with the dreaded double sale yet? I've
had it twice in 3 years.
Okay.
And it was overnight both times where I wasn't even awake to catch it. Okay. And I have found that if you list items at night that are hot, these were both Mario games, mind you. Super Mario Brothers, Wii, and then one was a GameCube game. I listed them 2 hours before I fell asleep, and they both sold. Now, if I would have waited a day, or I would have waited earlier in the day to list them, knowing they were hot items, I could have avoided that. And I've learned my lessons on some things where if I know they're going to sell quick, to list them earlier in the day so I know to catch the sale.
Now, when that scenario happens, do you go ahead and give the nod to the eBay sale just to avoid that negative? And
right.
Okay. Well, on the topic of feedback, what is that type of experience like on Mercari as far as like seller rating is concerned?
You get everything from just your standard blank positive to, you get people gushing because they give you more characters in that feedback system than eBay does.
Oh, so you can get like full on.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And so some buyers will use that to their advantage to talk about you, how great your shipping was, how the packaging was, how fast it was.
So do you feel incentivized to offer a higher level of experience knowing that there's a potential somebody could leave you a review that could generate you more sales?
Yes, because everybody's going to rate you, or Mercari's going to rate you. You want them to rate you just because you want to see the comments, and there's a couple automated things you can click like fast shipping, that kind of thing. But it's coming on every order. On eBay, 20% of people leave feedback, so you're not worried about it as much.
If that at this point, once we got to a point where I even hate to say it, I have a fair amount of items that still come from overseas, and I don't feel motivated in any way, shape, or form to be somebody's half a millionth feedback on an
Right.
item that I paid $1.50 on.
Right.
There's no point in me to take any amount of my time to go do that. Now I could see on
Yeah.
Mercari if somebody offered a great customer experience, and I would leave a review in the same manner that I would do at TripAdvisor, so to speak,
Right.
then I would be more inclined to do so.
Right. And not only that, you can actually leave negative feedback for a buyer if that, if you so choose. It's not limited to positive, since you have to leave it both ways for the transaction to be completed in their system. Once
Now,
they rate you, you have to rate them.
now, have you had an experience yet where you've seen any level of extortion or feedback manipulation or anything to that effect? Somebody left you a negative because you gave them a
Yeah,
negative. I mean, the classic
once
eBay
or
things.
twice. Once or twice you see something like that, but like I said, you just explain to them. In fact, I told them, I said, open the return. If Mercari gives me that option, I'll approve it. And 2 seconds later, they rated it and gave me a 2 instead of a 5, just because they didn't want to bother with opening the return because they knew it would be probably rejected. So, I mean, you do have, like on mine, I have 1 negative feedback on eBay and I have 5 on Mercari. But those 5 were somebody bought an extra controller for a 360, or this smelled like smoke, or something along those lines, where a lot of times you either can fix it or you can't, but they never give you the opportunity. Or they're
Okay.
just too stupid to read. The classic sign, nobody reads anymore. But I will say Mercari customers do read a lot more than eBay customers do.
Yeah. Well, the eBay platform isn't conducive to wanting to stop and read, because even myself, I use an autofill. I just don't want to take the time, because if I've provided 12 photos and I've provided condition notes and, everything that would be necessary to know is already there, I don't feel inclined to leave more information. I don't see the necessity for it. So let me ask, with these issues, when you get negatives, when you get, troublesome customers, what is the experience like working with Mercari customer service? Is it online? Is it over the phone? What are you doing to contact Mercari?
No, that's the one thing that Mercari needs to work on, is their customer service. And I say that because back in the beginning, it was all through their internal messaging system. There was no email, no phone. They've gotten better, and I haven't had to use it since the beginning. So I, on either end, being a customer or a seller, so that I can't really talk about because I haven't had the experience to use it because I haven't needed to. I mean, that's how much different it is. I mean, on eBay, maybe once a week you're calling for something, either a glitch or a customer or this or that. Mercari doesn't have them. So from what I've heard, they also have a Facebook page now, which I didn't know until about a few months ago.
I'd hopped on there. I can see that they're making some efforts. Not as much engagement as I would have expected.
Right,
but
they're still lacking in the engagement, but they're giving it their effort. And every update I see that comes to the phone app seems to be better than the last one.
Okay, let's talk pricing too. Now, would you say the pricing is similar across both when you list your items? Are you doing it the same price on each one? And
for the most part.
Okay, and the fee structure for Mercari, what you're paying on the back end for that?
Straight 10%.
Straight
now,
10?
If you offer free shipping and the customer's not paying for that label individually, it'll be included in that 10%. If you use their label and have the customer pay for it, then it's not. So a lot of people, especially the new ones, I'll say, if you want to sell on there at the beginning to start with, use the Mercari labels, have the customer pay for it, so you're not getting dinged for that. Once you get familiar with the layout and everything else like that, the processes, you could do that for free shipping, because we have all these other options to shipping and stuff like that that are much cheaper on most things. And we could eat that little bit of 10% on shipping because we've done it on eBay for so long. It's not that big of a deal to us anymore.
Okay, and on the topic of shipping, I've heard that they have cheaper labels, that they have like some first class options.
Yeah, under 4 ounces is $2.99, which is actually not a bad option. I mean, because for the most part, unless it's close to you, it's going to be about that price anyway. From 4 to 8 is $4.25.
I think 4 ounces can go all the way up to
$3.22.
Well, and then we got this new postal rate coming in January, where I think it's going to be about $3.30.
That's going to be key to see what happens after that. Yeah. They didn't change their rates much after the last increase. Yeah. Now they have slowly but surely will work it in eventually. But on the heavy stuff, I mean, you could ship up to 150 pounds, and it's not that expensive. So if you're selling bigger items,
is that through UPS that they're providing those labels?
FedEx and UPS, yes. Wow. They have contracts with all three. Now they have the UPS contract where you could actually have UPS pack it for you, That's a little bit more expensive, but for some items, it might be worth it for some sellers. Their FedEx rates are great. They're about half of what USPS is, but also the time is different. I think it's probably more smart post than anything.
Speaking of delivery times, is there mandates on the seller end to provide shipping estimates or shipping information before an order sells?
The site gives you 3 days to ship automatically. That's all. You ship faster, you get better reviews, obviously. But everybody knows it says we'll ship within 3 days. What service you use doesn't say, doesn't tell you what. But they also have internal tracking, which will tell you kind of every step of the way where your package is at.
Okay, that's fantastic.
So that does help. And then if customers have questions, it's right on the order thing. Just click the tracking number and they'll say, boom. It's internal, kind of like eBay's tracking is, but I mean, it gives you, it is a little bit of a delay. No, not big, but maybe a couple hours from USPS's website, but it gives them the general idea where it's at this point in time.
It's pretty
and
slick.
It does help. Yeah, I mean, it's all right there. I could pull up an order and see where, customer's name, address. They could see my information, where I'm shipping from.
I'll be honest with you, that can be a nightmare even on eBay right now. Because I tell you, I'll give you 60 seconds to get the phone number of the last person you sold an item to. And it shouldn't be that difficult to pull up that type of information if you need to contact somebody. I shouldn't have to do an advanced search or, pull the invoice via PayPal after locating the item on eBay, and it can be a bit of a hassle. So 3 years on the platform. Okay, obviously you're going to keep selling there.
Yes.
What are some things that you wish you knew earlier that maybe you discovered later about Mercari?
People love the bundles. Don't be afraid to bundle, especially with the video game. Everybody's like, all right, how much would this, and this be? And before, you used to be able to say, okay, I'll just do it this way. Just reduce the price of all 3 items to this much, and so it combines to what you quoted, and they'd buy all 3 and you'd ship it once. They did it a little bit differently now, where only tracking number is only good for 1 item, so it'll feed into the other items, but it won't update.
So you're referring to bundles as not being the same as a lot,
right?
Okay, so how are you? Could you better explain what you mean by bundle then?
Okay, what I do now is if someone say, I want to buy this game, this game, and this game, and I go over a price, she says, yeah, that's fine, put it up. I'll either edit the listing they're talking to me on to include all those items, or I'll post a brand new one using a quick cut and paste from the 3 other ones to make one listing saying, hey, this is what you want. I'll put their name in the title, stuff like that. I stay away from words like reserved and hold because Mercari doesn't like those words. But I tell them it's up,
So you're making a quick lot and then firing it on out.
Since it's free to list, there's never any cost to throw up something, which helps.
Free to list is always great. And now, is there limitations and caps to the number of listings you can have in the beginning?
I haven't heard too much of it. There might be a few, if you go over 400 or 500 the first week, there might be a little flag that throws up. I have never run across it. What I used to run into was after you list so many in one day, you'll stop seeing it feed in that feed. It'll still show up in search, but it wouldn't be in like their feed. Say newly listed. So you knew to stop at that point in time a listing after 75 or 80 listings in one day. You may not see it. They could search for it, but they won't see it in the new listings.
Now, 75 to 80 listings on eBay is frankly a daunting task at this point because of the degradation of the mobile app, the failures of the iPad app. The newest version that just came out is incredibly slow, borderline worthless, and dragging me back to using a PC again to list, which is something I never thought I would do. So let me ask, what is the list time on Mercari? If you're trying your hardest, you got your photos taken already, what type of time are we talking to list a brand new listing?
30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah. See, and that used to be the standard for eBay. You used to be able to hammer out a listing. I used to be able to do 60 listings an hour comfortably, and now 60 listings can take me 2 to 3 hours. And it's frankly disgusting the amount of time it takes.
I mean, there's more default settings on eBay than ever before, so you have to always go in there changing them from auction to buy it now, stuff like that. Now this,
well, now you have to select more shipping information. You have to. They've changed the default for handling time, which is a frustration for a lot of people. There's no quick way to select free shipping. It's buried 2 or 3 menus deep.
Right.
The things that I used to be able to scroll, tap, scroll, tap, and just kind of work my way through my listing. They've buried all those things, and everything is like I should be able to select. I'm sending out a first class package. what more information do you need? Why do you need the dimensions? Why do you need the weight? Then why do I need to select free shipping? I'm going to ship it for free. Just let me choose that option.
Right. You know, it defaults it, you know. On here, I don't ask for any of that, which is kind of ironic. They say, you get down to that part of the listing where it'll say shipping, either Mercari labels or your own. Well, the first question is, who pays for shipping, you or your customer? If you click on the customer, then you have you only have the option of Mercari labels. If you say you will, you have either option. You'll pull up the listing, it'll say what weight you want to pick, which since it's a range, it's a lot easier. But even then, if you're paying shipping it yourself anyway, it really doesn't matter.
So what are the options that you use? Let's say you have an item on eBay, $24.99 free shipping. What are you selecting on Mercari?
25 free shipping.
25 free shipping. So same thing across the board. And then Mercari pulls the cost, like if it's a first class package, okay, and you'll pay the $2.99 to them, and then
right, they'll take it right out of the payment. If you want to make the customer pay, what I would do if in that situation would be $22, and then have them pay the $2.99 shipping.
And just so I understand, do you have to pre-weigh the item, or can you do that after the fact?
I mean, they give you a range. Now, first class, it's 0 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to a full pound, and then 1 to 3 pounds.
So you are doing pre-weight? To
a point. If you're using Mercari labels, you're doing pre-weight. If you're doing your own labels, you don't do any weight.
Okay. And just so I understand again, what is the disadvantage of doing your own label opposed to the Mercari one, other than the small savings on 4 ounce? So you're paying the 10% on your label fee. Right. Oh, okay. Which yeah, as you said, we're doing that with eBay currently on our free shipping.
So it's not a big deal to most of us anyway. And the advantages of doing your own labels is you can use cubic shipping. You could use regional flat rate boxes, you know, even at 5-6 pounds when their labels, most of their bigger size labels, yes, you'll have some savings because it's a flat fee no matter what zone you're sending to. It's not zone based.
Now, are you creating your labels through your smart device, or are you doing that on a computer?
I just do it on a computer through Pirate Ship or PayPal. You know.
Now, let's say for the Mercari experience, could a consumer do the entire process through their cell phone without the website still?
Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, you could even, there's a button where it's copy the address, and then if you opened up your printing app, whatever you use to print from your phone, you could do it that way as well. If you had like a wireless hub or something plugged directly to your phone.
Okay.
So they also, and if you use Mercari labels, they email those labels directly to you in a form of a PDF.
Oh, so you just pop them open and fire them out?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, either way, you know, it doesn't take very long at all.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Now, I heard too that there's limitations regarding quantity. You know, you can't have quantity listings.
Right. So if it's someone starting to sell 20 of them, either you're doing 20 individual listings or you're doing one at a time until they all sell. And I've seen it done both ways, where someone will list 10 or 15 chargers for the Game Boy set, you know. So, I mean, it doesn't take very long as you have everything right there. It's cut and paste. So it only takes a few seconds to put up another listing, you know, if one sells. I would tell people not to list more than 3 or 4 at a time anyway, just because you don't want to flood the market.
You want to create a little bit of that fear of loss, you know.
Exactly.
Better get it before it's gone. But if there's 20 of them, there's no reason to race out and get them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, I tell people, 2, 3 maybe. You know, if they sell, you could quickly cut and paste that same one back up. Takes you 10 seconds. You're back in business again anyway.
Okay. So we covered a lot here today regarding Mercari. Is there something that we didn't touch base on today that you feel people should know regarding the platform?
Since it is a human-to-human experience, profiles are very important. You don't necessarily have to have your own picture, but put up a logo picture. Explain who you are in detail. You know, give them background on your situation, how long you've been around. You could say you've been on eBay for 20 years.
Would you ever link out to your eBay store for validity or anything to that effect? I
say if they want to know, I will say if you want to know what my story is, because there's no way to put an actual link in there. But you could say my name is XBroker27 on eBay, you know, for instance, or something along those lines. They don't flag eBay, the word eBay, so you can do that with Amazon if you wanted to do as well. People do their YouTube channels all the time, you know. So say if you got something on there for sale that you've already shown once working on your YouTube channel, you'd actually say, check out my YouTube for working video, stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's something that we used to see on eBay, but we don't see much anymore. You can even type out the link in the
description if you wanted to, and I've seen that. It may not be clickable, but they could do a copy and paste into their browser to watch. And I've seen that before, and it's actually pretty cool that way.
Now,
Yeah,
have you had an item yet that you've provided a video for just because you felt it
I
might
have
be?
not.
No, nothing necessary yet.
No, but now I probably can with all the setup now. So
Okay, let me ask you just a couple of more fun questions, and then I'm going to let you get out of here.
all
Do
right.
you remember your most expensive sale on Mercari?
Yes, I do. It was a new 3DS XL with a bunch of games that the mother was buying for her son around Christmas time 2 years ago. It was $450.
Now, do you feel that same type of bundle would have had a chance at all on eBay?
No, not at all.
And that's one of the things that
This was
I'm
a
really
custom
excited
bundle.
about because
This is nice.
sometimes I'll come across a situation where I'll buy a console, it'll have, I don't know, 7 games with it. And maybe 2 of the games are worth listing on their own. And then I'm
Right,
stuck with
exactly.
5 games I can't do anything with. And if I sell them with the console, I end up pricing myself too far up to ever be seen with the console. You know what I mean? Like, so if we have like Game Boy Advances and they're selling for 35, 35, 35, 38, 6, 36, 36, and then I'm at 45 because I have 5 games with it that are worth maybe $20, but I bundled it down. No one will ever see that listing.
See,
So,
on this one, if you have bundle, that's a big difference. Is people know, okay, if it's going to be a little bit more expensive, I might have games with it. Let me scroll down a little bit farther.
okay.
Now, this one was a completely custom bundle. I had them all up separately at the time. Their minimum you could put up is $5, no matter if you're doing free shipping or not. So a lot of those games I was doing for 5 free shipping. Obviously, like the kids games and stuff like that don't sell sports games, which they sell at that price on there, which is kind of ironic. But
And what do you throw a stamp on them and fire them out the door?
standard first class. A lot of times,
Okay.
$275 for not even media, but like a lot of times it's $3 for shipping. The fee, you're getting $4.60, so you're making about $1 a game. And I was just doing that just to have listings up at the time. I still do it. But a lot of times they would bundle games that were five. So it was nice to throw it with the console and say, hey, okay, this will be, the console was listed by itself for $250.
Mm-hmm.
You're adding $300 price wise, those are games. They'll cut $50 off for the bundle, and so that way, and you let them pretty much put it together themselves. I bundled as many as 25 games together before that were on the listings. And literally takes a few seconds to either take one massive picture of all 25 or, and then cut and paste names.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty solid bundle, $450. Let me ask you one more. What was your most surprising sale on there?
It was a beat up box it was a Dollar Tree toy from 2008. It was like an RC car that sold on there that I never thought would sell. I picked it up. I got $20 for it, but I paid $1 for it with a bunch of other stuff.
Holy cow!
It was in the box, mind you, but it was all beat to hell. The box had seen better days, but it was still new. It was new old stock, so it was pretty funny. They still had the Dollar Tree logo in the corner.
There's those collectors out there who are looking for those oddball items. Well, hey, Richard, I really want to thank you for taking the time to come on here. There's been so many people, like I said, that have asked me about getting going on eBay, or excuse me, getting going on Mercari, and they had these very specific questions that I've been asking you here today. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that people should know before, actually taking that jump and getting started? Things that maybe they should have. We talked about having about $100 budget in hand, at least to be able to cover a couple of shipping labels. Obviously, right, having a couple of items that are of interest. Maybe don't jump up on there with used clothing right away, but maybe find some electronics or video games and stuff like that. That
I just tell people, if you're going to list something, keep it under like say $30-$40 to start with, just to get your feedbacks up. You see a new seller, you kind of wonder what's going on because you still have that scammer mentality for most people. So, they're going to take a risk at $20. They won't take that risk at $150. So I would say sell little items to start your account with just to kind of get your feet wet and let the customers see how you're going to do, because then the feedback will speak for itself, and then you can start listing more expensive items and it won't be as hard. There's no wait. A lot of people will buy from first-time sellers. Just a lot of people are first-time sellers in that platform. Mm-hmm. But say like on eBay, you're waiting for somebody to give you that feedback. You're waiting for it. You maybe have 10, 15 sales, but no feedback. Here, you'll get it after 3 or 4, and you can start seeing people take you more seriously, looking at more of your items, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you get your reputation faster. And then once you hit 50 and 100, you start getting your badges and stuff like that, which say even more things.
So work hard early on, good items, stay consistent, don't abandon your store, and right. Just make sure it's a great customer experience.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're selling to your mom. How would you want your mom treated in an experience like that? Do you want them kicked around, or you want them, handled with care?
Yeah. I was packing up an item today, and I just remember looking at it, and it was a stuffed animal plushie, and I'd wrapped it in some shrink wrap, and I stopped back and because I wanted it to fit inside of a smaller package, and I said, how would I feel if I was a father and I handed this shrink wrap bear to my child? Yeah, and I looked at it and I said, you know what?
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I'm like, this isn't the right look that I want for this, and I undid it. I put it in tissue paper and then put that inside of a poly instead, and
right.
just making sure that's
fine.
It's the right visual experience for the consumer.
Exactly. You don't have to do all the extra stuff like posh people tend to do with the thank you cards and the little notes and the colorful tissue paper.
Just make
sure it gets here on time in great shape. You'll be fine.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Richard, thank you so much again for coming on. I can assure you we'll have another discussion again here in the future, most likely on this topic, because I would want to touch base with you, probably come in January and ask how your Q4 was. And then also, I'm going to get started this week on Mercari as well. And, maybe you can help me through some of the mistakes I'm inevitably going to make on the platform, like we all do whenever we start something new.
Definitely. So, definitely. I'm always here for you, man.
I appreciate
that. And anybody else
brother.
For that matter.
I appreciate that. Those who don't know, Richard is a member of our Bolo RAMA Facebook community. He's also a patron who helps support this show and keep us on air, and he's just a truly valuable asset to what we have going on here as well. And you have a new group that you're going to be launching here soon too, right? To help other people out with Mercari.
Well, because Mercari, there's nothing really good group-wise about Mercari. Heard horror stories, so I need to start one up. So I'll be doing that very soon.
Once you get that going, what we'll do is in the future, on this video, we'll make sure that we put a link in the description for this so that people are able to get to that as it's available. Hopefully in the next week, we can get together and put up a banner or something and start getting things going, because I think it'd be a great resource, a great extension of what we have going already.
That's what I would love to have. So definitely.
Awesome, Richard. Thank you so much for being on today.
All right. Have a good one.
Likewise.
All right. Bye, guys.
Well, wasn't that a fantastic discussion with Richard? I saw Mr. Exquisite's comment just now, too. It was a very thorough Q&A, and why? Well, I'm brand new to the idea of selling on Mercari, and like I told Richard, I don't like to speak on things I don't know, and I pretty much have all the questions that a brand new seller would have on the platform. So if you're a person who's looking to sell on the platform, well, there you go. There's all your answers. And we had a fantastic discussion in the chat during the show where a lot more questions were answered. So if you get an opportunity, you want to scroll back through and see some highly detailed questions as well as a discussion about the new group that's going to be getting started up, I recommend you do that. And again, let's all say a very nice thank you to Richard for his support for our show and being a part of this fantastic discussion. It was a great one. And like I said, we will have him back in January to talk with him regarding his Q4 experience on Mercari and maybe some of the new things that he's learned and his sales volume. And I plan to start this Tuesday on Mercari, and I'll probably document the experience as well. I'll set up a camera and I'll show the process of listing items. I'm probably going to select maybe 50 items or so that I'd like to list, and we'll kind of see how it goes. I'll sit down next to my photo station and record a little video and show you the process. So it'll be a fun one. Moving on, guys, we have some additional stuff that we're going to be talking about today before we get to our pickups. Guys, I want to talk to you about understanding returns and the impact it's going to have during Q4 and just some of the things that maybe you didn't know, but it's something that I find very interesting, and I think that we can all walk away and draw some great information from. CNBC video just came out on YouTube about 48 hours ago, and they revealed some really, really interesting numbers regarding the returns process on Amazon and the impact that it's not only having to traditional retail, e-commerce, the environment, and more. I recommend you go and check it out. Just visit CNBC YouTube and check out that recent video. I think it was just like I said 2 days ago. They said that as of right now, Amazon has over 800 million SKUs on the site. I want you to imagine for a second, we have 500, maybe 1,000, some of the crazy and serious sellers out there holding 15, 20,000 pieces of inventory. if somebody gives you a return on one of those units, odds are you might not even remember selling the dang thing if you have that much stuff on hand. I've always felt that if you're a seller with 10, 15, 20,000 items and they're all one-offs, you're probably doing something wrong. Now, if you have quantity on each one, you're probably going to be okay. But, I know there's other even YouTube creators that are holding that level of inventory and they think it's perfectly fine. But when it comes to returns, let's carry on. We have a thing, we call it a reverse logistics, basically the process of an item coming back to you. And on our small scale, we don't see the big impact it has. Traditional retail shows a return rate of anywhere between 8 to 10%, where in e-commerce, brands like Amazon can be experiencing anywhere between 20 and 30% returns on specific areas. Now, the thing that kind of rubs me wrong is that even though I'm a great seller, I still get returns, and every single return hurts. We know this. Not only does it infuriate us, the fact that, we feel like we've done everything wrong, but heaven forbid something actually does go wrong. Something gets broken in transit, or, you accidentally used the wrong model number and delivered a bad customer experience and something just happened. We absolutely hate taking these returns. Now, the scale at which Amazon is taking them, it's a little bit ridiculous. They said e-commerce as a whole has 207 billion with a B, dollars worth of returns coming in each and every year. Now, if we look at Amazon alone, just in North America, they're taking in $100 billion worth of returns each year. Now, they even managed to give us some really interesting statistics as well. And they said 34% of those have to do with the fit, the size, the color of a garment or shoes or something to that effect. So 35% of people are smaller or larger than they actually think they are based on the brand that they're buying with, or their colors are off. I even had somebody argue with me the other day regarding the color of a stain on an item that I described as being stained, and they said I didn't realize it was that bad, but I guess it could have been my monitor. And if you're openly admitting that it could be your monitor, let's be honest, it probably is your monitor. Another 21% of the items they said were damaged. Now, of this, obviously, we know 21% of all returns aren't damaged items. People will use this as a point of contention, and they'll call for false damage or unidentified damage. 14% were INADs, items not as described. 10% of the returns said that they disliked the item. Maybe it just didn't live up to their standard. 9% of people said they changed their mind. 5% of people had gripes with the fact that it didn't arrive on time. What I found really interesting is they said 4% of the returns that they received were items that were intended to be returned when purchased. So we're talking about, we talked about this before with the 360 ID tag, people wardrobing, basically buying clothing, using it for a single event, and then returning it immediately. We can also see the same thing happening with TVs. They said pre-Super Bowl, you see more TVs getting sold than at any other time during the year. And post-Super Bowl, you see more TVs being returned than any time during the year. And even TV manufacturers factor in this Super Bowl effect, and they're smart about it. They will raise the prices of TVs before the Super Bowl to mitigate the losses that they're going to experience on the back end. Now, what I found really, really interesting is that a company called Invest Conversions did some market research, and they found that 80% of consumers wanted a free return shipping option. Okay, I guess we all want that, but on our perspective as e-commerce sellers, we understand the large cost of offering free returns, whether it be the potential of return fraud or return abuse, or just simply the cost of shipping labels, especially when we're dealing with, as Pat said, $20 ASP or average sale price items. If you're working with a $15 ASP, maybe you're working with a lot of media or a lot of first-class lightweight items. If you add in that free return shipping, you could be taking a 30% hit to your bottom line on each item that comes back to you, which is simply unacceptable by any means. So I want to explain a couple of things first. We're going to be leading into a discussion quickly regarding how you can mitigate some of your return volume that you're going to be having come in, because I feel that my return volume is certainly below the average. Part of that has to do with things that can be done on the front end, and then the patrons know we have a private group. They see how vehemently I fight back against returns. And I will tell a person, I even had somebody the other day buy an item. They made an offer for $20. I accepted their offer. They paid for it. And then they said, or no, they hadn't paid for it, and they said they wanted to cancel it. They said, I want to cancel this. I said no. And I can show you guys the messages too. I said, no, I will not be honoring your cancellation request. And frankly, he didn't ask nicely. And if he had, I probably still would have said no, but I said, no, I am not honoring your cancellation request. I will open an unpaid item case. You will receive a strike on your account. At that point, I get my fees back, and that's the process I will be going. Okay, in just as few words. What did they do? They paid for the item and I shipped it out. And Lee James had even asked, aren't you worried about a negative feedback? I said, try me. Let them try and leave a negative feedback. I'm going to do everything perfectly on my end. I'm going to document the item before it goes out, document the packing process, fire it out the door. I've had no issues on my end, but I'm welcoming it. I welcome them to try. So I want to talk, about the differences between eBay and Amazon, or I guess Amazon as a traditional standard e-commerce, the fact that 50% of the volume of all items being sold online are going through Amazon, they are essentially the gold standard now, and how they differentiate from eBay, or even how they differentiate from the way that we do business personally. One of the comments I saw earlier, somebody was talking about how Amazon is more capable of initiating bans on buying abusers or return abusers. And we've seen this. We've seen accounts get banned, and they get banned in a much swifter capacity than they do on eBay. And that has to do in part with the fact that when you become an Amazon buyer, you're required to give a lot more information to actually be a buyer on that platform. And multi-account abuse isn't something that you see happening as often over there. Amazon's smart. They're going to say, well, we just banned an account from this address and you're making a brand new one from the same address. We're not going to allow that to happen. Wherein eBay doesn't have these checks and balances in place to ensure that they are creating a better ecosystem for sellers on the platform. On top of that, Amazon's more likely to issue low-cost credits, so that way you don't have to deal with absorbing a return ship cost on items. So they'll issue out, $5, $6, $7 credit and say, hey, just go ahead and keep the item. Now, eBay has this, and the utilization of this has gone down dramatically over time. They used to even have a back-end formula that would show the volume of money that you've had come into your account, essentially the amount of fees that eBay has been able to rake, and a percentage of that could be used for mitigating small item claims. And small item claims used to extend out as far as what I've seen, about $25 in some cases, to when I've seen eBay at their tightest, where they wouldn't issue a $4 complimentary refund or a $6 complimentary refund to essentially avoid the logistical weight or the logistical burden of handling that return through eBay's claim department. And we've even seen a little bit more of these costs being passed along to the consumer when they talk about eBay increasing your fees in problem categories that you have, and the fee threshold based on the amount of returns that you get within those areas. So it is something that eBay is cognizant of, but they simply don't have the tools, logistics, or intelligence to be able to fix that issue. Now, another thing that Amazon really, really has over us as far as what we can do on our end is they have the infrastructure built in place to really be able to absorb returns in a much more efficient, whether it be a time efficient or cost efficient manner, by their partnership with Kohl's. And we talked about this development 3 months ago about how you're able to take a large number of returns back to Kohl's to be able to get a credit there back to your Amazon account, or even a cashed out return. Now, in the beginning, I didn't really see the complexity of this arrangement and why it was so valuable. I kind of thought it was kitschy, almost a little bit dumb, that Amazon would step into traditional retail and allow customers to bring their items to there. But when I got a little more clarity on it, I realized, I'm like, man, this is a real win-win for both companies involved. One, you don't have to pay UPS to run around and pick up packages. Two, you don't have to run around and pay your courier to do, home front pickup. You're getting all of those people to go to a location. So you're mitigating your cost on that end. And then on top of that, the win for Kohl's is the fact that now you have a customer in there who's already in the shopping mindset because they're doing the process of a return. You're potentially handing them cash in a retail store where they may have even returned a garment, a pair of shoes, something to that effect. And guess what? They have cash in a store, okay? And most people can't leave a store with cash in their pocket, Okay, and they're getting an opportunity to make money there. So we're basically finding a really, really creative way to bridge the gap between e-commerce and retail in a very much so win-win scenario. And Kohl's has even said that they're showing increased retail presence, increased retail sales through that program that they're doing. On top of that, you guys may have seen the locker setups that they have inside of different grocery stores. They have these giant bays of yellow lockers where you can pick up your packages if you don't have a secure front porch, or if it's maybe more convenient for you. I've seen some college campuses have them. Maybe you want to go there rather than have it come to your dorm, possibly even pay an accelerated cost for a drop-off location at a FedEx or something to that effect. Not only do they have those, they have UPS stores, some of them that they're working with, Amazon Books and Amazon 4-star stores where people are able to return returns back to as well. And then the other end too is the fact that Amazon's able to profit on these unsaleable returns, unlike traditional businesses like ourselves. Sometimes we get these returns back and we simply have to bite the bullet on it. All of the value on the item could have been tied up in the fact that it's brand new, and as a used item, it may have no value whatsoever, wherein Amazon has found creative ways to be able to profit on that via their pallet sales or their Amazon warehouse website. So I wanted to explain a few things that we could do on our end to try and mitigate our returns through the holidays. Now, this is a topic that we're going to cover much more extensively coming into November. So I'm going to kind of glance on a few of them, and then I want to talk about some pickups, and then I'd like to get off air at a reasonable time because I still want to have dinner. That would be a great thing for tonight. The first thing, I know this is going to sound a little bit wild, but especially coming into the holidays, offer a competitive return policy. Now, I don't offer returns on any of my stuff right now, okay? I will be implementing a return policy through the holidays, okay? Because there is a lot of consumer fear when it comes to doing business online still. There's people out there who are going to be coming to eBay and possibly even Mercari and doing e-commerce for the very, very first time. And if you want to have that competitive advantage, it's not always going to be price. It's not always going to be the quality of your photos. The return policy is something, they said somewhere in the area of 60% of consumers look for a return policy before executing a purchase on a website. And if your listing does not have that return policy, you could frankly be costing yourself sales, especially through the holiday season. Okay. On top of that, don't be afraid to lay out very, very clear and intelligible terms within your description. Maybe you offer a return policy, but it's a really, really bad one. Okay. Maybe you offer it and it's a very tight time window. Maybe you have some underwriting as far as who's paying the shipping cost, or maybe some type of restock fee if it's applicable or permissible. Lay it out within your description that you want to work with people. Even if you have no return policy, like I have on my store, my description says, we will take your return if it's our fault, which is eBay's stance. But it allows me to tell the consumer, I have a return policy in place, but you're not going to screw me. Okay. So if it's my fault and I've done something wrong, I'll take it and I'll pay for the return shipping if it's my fault, which eBay already does. So you may as well take that position that eBay is forcing you into, turn that negative into a positive for the consumer experience. Okay. If you have two listings and one person says they're happy to take their return if they screw up and the other one doesn't, who is the consumer more likely to buy from? What about if that other listing is 10% more on a $30 item? Well, I could pay $3 more, but I know this guy will take it back if there's a problem. And we've all been there before where we've looked at return policies to make our buying decision. So be creative with how you do it. On top of that, don't be afraid to open up a good line of communication with your consumer, especially if you have a questionable item. If you have something that you know is in really bad disrepair and that there is a potential that there could be damage when the item gets there, don't be afraid to open up the lines of communication before the item gets to them. Say, hey, I want you to know I took very special care in packing your item. It is a long journey, and especially during the holidays, it can be a hard one. I want you to know if there's any problems at all, I've included my number inside of the box, and please just reach out to me first. Okay. This accelerated level of customer service speaks volumes to building buyer confidence in you. And if there is a problem, guess what? You've started out the discussion by being exceptionally nice to them. And it's going to put you in a position to be able to mitigate the damage that would have traditionally occurred with an angry customer. You're most likely not going to get the negative feedback. You're most likely not going to have to take the item back. You might be able to get into a situation where you can talk about doing partial refunds because they know you're a human and they know that you have their best interest in mind right off the bat. Okay, so keep those things in mind. And moving forward with that, keep the experience a human one. Okay. When it comes to sending out messages, try and avoid these generic, very churny type messages. I understand we're a very efficient business and we need to get it out and we need to send out that message, but there's no reason it has to sound automated. Thank you so much for your order of such and such and such item. You can expect your delivery within 3 to 4 business days. If you have any issues, please contact our customer service line at, okay. You can send out a message and you can keep it personal. You can say, thanks so much for making this purchase. I truly do appreciate it. We want to let you know our Santa's Little Helpers are currently packing this item and it'll be on its way to you here very soon. If you have any problems, just let us know. We'd be happy to step in to assist. Here is my personal direct line that you can reach me at if there is any issues. And also while I have you, if you see something else in our store that you'd like, don't be afraid to message us. We might be able to offer you a discount on it. Have a wonderful day, Jay. Okay, so that human touch and that human element can speak volumes to reducing your actual return rate. And then next, deliver on your promises. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Okay? A customer has every right to get angry when you fail to honor your handling time, when you fail to upload your tracking in time, when you fail to include all the components that the item had pictured initially. Okay? Honor what you say you're going to do and ensure that your listing is a clear reflection of the item that you're actually selling. Don't go through and tweak your colors, okay, in post-production. Don't jam up the contrast so your item looks prettier than it actually is, okay? Don't talk on end about the condition of an item if it's really not that nice. Make sure your item description and listing reflects your item well. Undersell and over-deliver. This is how we build consumer confidence within our brand, especially if you're launching a brand new brand on Mercari, where your profile is very important and the overall look and image of who you are, and you give people an opportunity to leave these diatribes about their experience with you. This gives you a chance to really wow them. Okay, I plan to take that opportunity. I want to blow people's minds. I have boxes of nonsense toys I can't do anything with. Guess what? Those will get bundled up and shipped out with every single Mercari order I have. It'll be a free little gift I can give somebody that's essentially going to cost me nothing. But guess what? It might put a smile on somebody's face. Okay, maybe I can even Ziploc up a little bit of candy on the side and say, hey, please enjoy this. Have a happy holiday season. Little extra things can really, really make the difference. And those of you who don't know, some of the contacts I've made through that human experience on eBay have resulted in thousands of dollars of additional sales, tens of thousands of dollars worth of additional buys by telling people like, hey, this is the stuff I buy. If you have any of this stuff, just let me know. The doors that can be opened by being a good person and doing good work is absolutely ridiculous. And then another thing to remember too, there is no way to do something the second time to be able to make up for the time lost if you had just done it right the first time. Okay? Be mindful of what you're doing. Don't accidentally ship the wrong package to the wrong person. Don't accidentally drop off packages that don't have labels on them. I've done both of those. Slow down. Make sure you get the process correct through and through. Okay? Like I said, you can't recover that time once it's gone. Let's get it right. Let's get this holiday season good. Let's make this work. Okay. Those are just a few of my tips, and we're definitely going to expand upon that coming into the holiday season. But I just really kind of wanted to get that out so that way we're on the same page here about returns, and you understand just how costly and just how damaging it can be for your brand. Guys, we don't have a whole bunch of developing news going on right now. It's been a little bit of a slow e-com week as far as changes and stuff. There's a little bit of eBay stuff which we're going to get into, but we're going to have a big news drop when the shareholder call happens. I think it's tomorrow. No, it's Wednesday. Shareholder call this Wednesday. We're going to have really, really interesting numbers regarding eBay and the direction that they're going to be going. If we're lucky, we'll get a little bit of color to see whether or not they're going to have any comments regarding StubHub or comments regarding eBay Classified and the potential separation from eBay with them. those, and I'd really love to hear somebody hit them with the hard question of, what is eBay's official stance in regards to cryptocurrency? So let's take a look at some of these comments real quick. And always remember, guys, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them down in the comments down below. And thank you to the 51 of you who are live right now. If you've never seen our show live and you're watching the pre-record, I strongly recommend you jump in. Come join the discussion. We have a great discussion every single Sunday. And I truly do thank everyone who takes the time to be here. We are going to carry on to pickups here right after this, which we haven't done in about 3 weeks now. Lisa C says, I put in a little wooden ornament on my thank yous last year. Cost me 1 cent each. Each buyer left great feedback. That is a genius idea. Lisa, if you wouldn't mind maybe sharing a link within our group to some super low cost giveaway items that we can include within our items, that'd be great. Somebody's here saying that apparently you didn't see the comment in the eBay group about the seller who sent a freebie to a buyer and the buyer filed a claim with eBay about their item not as described because the seller was dumping their garbage in her package. There's just a certain level of evil out there in the world, and they will certainly pay far more than the value of that item over time. I really can't stress enough. Things like that come full circle, and I really hope that person doesn't take the evil that other person has with them, and I hope they don't take any of that on board for themselves. Let's go ahead and badoop. Oh, why is that music going? I don't even know what that. There we go. I guess my little device wants me to wrap up the show already, playing my exit music. So guys, what do we have left? We have some pickups. I went to Fresno this week. We're going to show half of them because, like I said, it is getting late and I got people waiting on me already. So we're going to look at a couple of items, okay? Next week we'll have the other couple, and I'll probably even have more than that. I think we're coming up on our last week of yard sailing here in California. It's going to be this coming weekend, and then it's going to be a bit of a dry spell till January. Those of you who don't know, January thrifting is the best month of the entire year because every January people get all their new stuff during the holidays and then they donate out all their old stuff. That's when they do their house cleaning and they pack up stuff and they drop it off at the thrift stores. So make sure you hit your mom and pop thrift stores. Make sure you hit your big thrift stores. Maybe even hit your big thrift stores auctions in the area as well because they get inundated with so much supply. They'll even load them up onto pallets before they even hit the shelves. So make sure you take a moment to check out all of that stuff in your area. Oh, guys, I love stuffed animals. You know that. You know how much money I make on these things. Look at this thing. Isn't this guy just creepy adorable? We're gonna call him Hugo. Okay, he's a Star Smiles plush. Now, if you remember, I had an alligator, and what makes these things unique is they have a full set of adult teeth on the inside. These little chompers are meant to be an aid for dentists to be able to sit down with a child and say, hey, we're going to be doing this to this tooth and this to this tooth, and it's not going to hurt, yada, yada, yada. And these aids, they do well. I sold my alligator for $40 on eBay, and I'm sure that this guy is going to be right around the same price, possibly even more. And yes, Pam, it's super cute. I paid less than $1 for this. I got a big old pile of stuffed animals with Susan, and we split the difference on him. But yeah, this guy is adorable. And, the colors, it's not really doing justice. Let me turn my brightness up. Oh yeah, he looks great. Yeah, just really bright, vibrant, and it even has the butt branding as well. Great piece, great return on investment. I don't know, maybe we'll go through all of them. I don't have that much stuff today. We got a Hiccapop #souls. This is a body wedge, I guess, for pregnant women. You kind of jam this bad boy into your stomach or something when you're rolled on your side. But this is a $19 wedge. And it was inside that pile of stuffed animals. Hopefully it's under a pound. It's going to be close, but worst case scenario, I'll fold it in half and fire it out. Cubic, again, under $1. All the plus I'm going to show you was my net value was under $1. This guy's adorable. I didn't even look it up because it was so darn cute. My camera can't even show you how bright yellow this thing is, but this is a Peeps. It even has the branding on the back. Now, most of the Peeps plushes I've seen have been matte. Okay, they just have that very basic cotton feel to them, but this one's actually got the fluffy texture to it. And I've never seen it before. I can argue the original MSRP was probably around $16. It's probably going to sell for maybe $20, maybe 22 if I'm lucky. It's got the beanie bottom on it as well, so it can stand up on its own. It's almost. Yeah, there we go. So it can stand up on its own. I promise I'm not using my hands. And somebody's going to pick it up come Easter, or maybe even through the holidays. I'll still list it during the holidays. I got a Lego backpack. Yeah. I mean, not the most exciting of pickups, but it's still something to snag. This might be a local play. This might even be a Mercari play, to be completely honest with you, because it's one of those items I feel will get lost on eBay. It unfortunately has somebody's name on the inside, which I may try and lift, but it might not be worth the trouble. But I think during the right time of year on Mercari, I think I could get a snap $15 for this bad boy. And it weighs nothing, too. It's going to be a first class, under 8 ounces. But I will definitely check my comps and see where it's at before I get this thing listed up. Guys, this one is super adorable. Let me see if I can get this prepped really quick. Hold on. Okay. Make sure I don't get bit by a spider. Give me 1 second. This is a snail puppet. Look how adorable this guy is. Yeah. Can I reach in there? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but it's he's got a collared shirt on and everything. I don't know if this is a character to something or what, but the build quality is really nice. Okay, let me just tuck his head back in there. It's got really good build quality. It's in very good shape. It's got almost like a felty exterior. It's a 3-sided one as well. It says on the tag, it says 1985 Graphics International. So I don't know. But great shape. And I know this is going to sound absurd. I'm going to sell this for $50. Okay. And I know some of you kind of shrug at me when I give these ridiculous prices on certain items. There is none of this specific style of snail available in puppet form on eBay. And furthermore, the other snails that are available aren't nearly as cute as this one. I will get $50. Now, those of you who don't follow the group on Facebook, I'd strongly recommend you do, because I always post up the nonsense items that I sell. I sold the Cubert trash can the other day for $100, and you know the feedback that they left? They said looked much better in person than even online. And my pictures online look great, and they made commentary about how it looked when they received it. So that's another one. That's a cutie. That one will get a $50 bill. Cat Con says, oh, I used to do daycare and work with kindergarten age kids, and that snail puppet would so great for a teacher, and yes, worth the price. Yes, high quality puppets are always worth it. And Cat Con, I will try a magic eraser, but it is a soft material to try and get that Sharpie out of. Oddball Frisbee, Champion Sports FD 165. I looked this up online, and the cheapest one used, I believe it's used, is $75. Now, I couldn't get any completed info on eBay. It only goes back 3 months. And while I'm at it, why the heck does why does Terapeak only go back a year? And they've been logging sales data for 15 years. But yeah, cheapest one's $75. I don't expect to get anything near there. I'm going to look on Terapeak, get some more info. But apparently this is a somewhat desirable disc. If I get anywhere between the $30 to $40 range, I will be thrilled with that amount. I paid $1 for it. Oh, and the snail, I did buy the snail separately. I believe it cost me $2 to $3 for that piece. This is another great Mercari item. This is one of those items I feel could get lost on eBay as well. Really high quality one. It's obviously going to be Disney. What is this? It says Walt Disney Company. I've never seen that before. I always see Disney Store or Disney World or something to that effect. Great shape. Cool plush. Still soft fabric. Paid less than $1 for it. I picked up a Orbi Netgear router. This was a surprising little buy. I paid $5 for it. These are going for about like 50, 60 bucks. I have no doubt that it's going to work. I was proud, or not proud, I was really happy that the power supply came with it because it seemed like that added about $20 worth of value to the product. If you come across routers, especially oddball looking ones, look them up. If it has more than 4 antennas sticking out the top too, you're probably going to want to look that up as well. And if anyone needs an Orbi, let me know. I saw some of the listings going as high as 110 bucks. It could be specific models that fetch more money, possibly. You know, and another thing I've noticed too, I'm starting to wonder, I've noticed a lot of expensive sponsored listings, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe people are taking an item that's, let's say, $25 and listing it for $50 and then just offering like 40% promoted, because they still make more money than if they had sold it otherwise. Maybe people are doing a snap buy. But that might be something we have to play around with and kind of find out for you guys, because that'd be a really interesting way to start making some more cash. Yeah, we're going to show you everything, and then we'll wrap up for the evening, guys. A Minecraft plushie. This is a zombie pigman. Don't ask me how I know. Probably a nice little snap Mercari buy. Needs to be ran through the wash. Again, paid less than $1. And then obviously right after stuffed animals, we're going to talk about gun accessories. This is a MO or a Magpul original equipment is the acronym for that. This is a backup sight. It's adjustable windage and fits. I don't know what this fits, but yeah. I picked this up. I paid $1 for this. This is a $30 gun accessory. And I've had much luck with pretty much any gun-related item I've listed. I've done very well with. Obviously, check TOS on whatever platform you're working with to make sure these types of things are allowed. And if those of you are wondering, like, how'd you know to buy that? People ask me that in the DMs after, like, how'd you know? Well, it's a brand new item in retail packaging I've never looked up before. That's how I knew. Anytime I see something I don't know, I stop and I look it up. One trip to the swap meet can result in 100 to 200 eBay searches. I refuse to walk by something that I am unfamiliar with without taking the opportunity to learn something new. I strongly recommend you guys do it as well. Tamagotchi friends. Look at this bad boy. Come on, focus, focus, focus. Got this. It's really thick Tamagotchi. And I went ahead and looked it up. It's about a $40 bill for this thing. I paid, I think she insisted that it was $3. And then I asked her, I'm like, does it work? She's like, I'm sure it worked at some time. Obviously, all things most likely worked at some time. So I'm going to take this apart, get it tested. I think it takes AA's just because of how chunky it is, maybe even AAA's. It's got a battery bay on the bottom. But yeah, Tamagotchis are the easiest money that you're ever going to find. They fire out first class 4 ounce. You make a fortune on them. While I'm at it too, remove your batteries before you ship them. Preferably don't even ship them with batteries if you're going to send them in the air. Try and keep it ground. I know a lot of you don't care about button cell batteries, but just be mindful of USPS regulations. You can get banned from shipping, which is a horrible thing that can happen. And we got 2 more items. This one is for someone I know. If I possibly, they might be seeing it right now, but this is super cute. It's Pusheen. It's a plushie Pusheen, and this was part of that lot as well. It essentially cost me nothing. And then the last pickup, which was the most expensive purchase of the day when I was out. It was the largest and heaviest purchase of the day too. What did I get? I got Sour Patch Kids Extreme Gum 12 packs. So there's 12 packages inside of here. Now, thing to note, these are all expired, okay? And I didn't buy one of these. I bought 20 of these, okay? And the lady that I purchased them from, I think she wanted $2 a piece. And I told her I would give her $1 a piece, but I'd be willing to take them all. Now, Susan was there and she witnessed this happen too. And there was actually a lot that was happening during the negotiation that I didn't really explain afterwards. But she really wanted to get her $40. I really wanted to pay $20. She then had to ask her husband. She wanted to confirm with things. And she was sitting there and she was hemming and hawing herself. Her next logical step, if I'm at 20 and she's at 40, where is she going to go to next? 30, right? That's just the next logical jump. I didn't want it to ever get to 30. I had no interest in that. So what I did is I went ahead and took the initiative and I said, hey, I'll tell you what. I understand can't do 20. That's fine. How about I give you 25? Okay, and we'll just button it up and get it done. And that tone, the pacing, the delivery, the trying to be compromising with the seller. On my end, I'm just trying to wrap it up, close up this deal, get it for a fair price, because I've already lost at 20. 20 isn't happening at that point, but I do not want to get to 30. She looks at her husband. She conveys that same emotion to him. Okay, and she speaks to him in Spanish, but that very like, this is what we can get, should we get it? I mean, it's already here, it's already happening. He looks at me, I give him the head tilt, the bob, and he gives the nod to her, and this is all meta-verbal to try and drive that sale forward. He agrees to the sale process, and I buy them all for $25. These on eBay, expired, okay, are $35 per package. Why? Because they're out of production, apparently. I couldn't see any ones within date on eBay available for sale. So these are something that's difficult to find. These obviously are over first class due to the weight. So I'm thinking I might do lots of 4 at 100, free shipping, blow them out the door, or just do $29.99 free ship, or because I think it's $33 is the comps online. So I'm going to come up with a more rounded competitive price point and try and fire them out the door. So great little pickup, great little quantity buy. Guys, if you're interested in any of the items that I showcased tonight, don't forget, if you're a patron, you can buy them for what I bought them for if you plan to keep them. If you're interested in purchasing any of this stuff for personal resale and you like to make some profit, don't be afraid to message me. I'd be happy to short sale it. Moving forward, we are going to be working to try and be able to take all the things I get each week, load them up into a box or even a pallet, and start building them up and selling them off to patrons. So I want to get to a point where I can go out and find great items, show them to you, and leave enough meat on the bone that a reseller like yourself who wants to put in the work can go make the profit. So if you're interested in any of the items from today, don't be afraid to send me a DM. I would be happy to work with you. Guys, that's all of the stuff for this week. That's everything that we had to talk about. Let's bring this in a little bit tighter. Let's make this a little personal. There we go. So last week, we spoke about the motivations of others and why they do the things that they do. Why certain people can be deceptive in nature. Now, obviously, money is a huge motivating factor for a lot of people, but sometimes they have other motivations. Maybe it be fame or success or recognition or, just notoriety for what they're doing. This week, I talked about it a little bit earlier about the importance of slowing down, but in conjunction with that, it's a reoccurring theme here on the show of the importance of being selfless. And I don't know why. It really, truly seems to elude some people the concept of just doing something without any interest in personal gain yourself. The idea of essentially compersion, which is receiving joy and or pleasure out of giving joy and or pleasure to somebody else. And in a sense, it can be self-serving for you. And I understand that the notion of just going and volunteering is a challenging concept for some people, like getting up and going and doing stuff for complete strangers, because a lot of us simply don't do it. A lot of us will talk about doing it, talk about wanting to help other people, or talk about caring, but a lot of people really, really don't do it. And I mean, even this show is somewhat of a testament to that. Some weeks we get 1,500 or 2,000 people who watch the show. And, our funding, we're still way behind where we need to be on funding. Obviously, thankful for every dollar we get in, but we're way behind our goals. And that's kind of part of the process of being selfless is recognizing, that when we are presented with opportunities to do more and be more, our value and our true level of selflessness is essentially put on judgment right then. Okay. If you're in a position where somebody asks if you can help out with the project, maybe you have somebody who's moving. Okay. Nobody really enjoys the process of packing other people's stuff. Unless you're a big gym buff, you might not enjoy the process of carrying other people's items. I can get that. I can respect that you might not want to do that. But being prompted and given an opportunity to be selfless, this is your moment of judgment. Am I not doing this because I am unable to? Or am I not doing this because I am unwilling to? Now, if you are unwilling, where is that unwillingness coming from? Okay. Is it coming from a position of, I am unwilling to do this because I am not getting anything in return? Am I unwilling to do this because I'm just not the good person that I say I am, or is there some other even different motives other than that? That's as far as my range can possibly go. So when you're presented with an opportunity here soon, and I'm not referring to my show or my donations or my Patreon, I'm talking in the real world, okay? Next time you're presented with an opportunity like that, okay, maybe it might be a partner, maybe it might be a family member, maybe it might be a neighbor or a coworker. Stop for a second and ask yourself, could I help them if I really wanted to? If I really had it in my heart to take that opportunity to be the good person I tell everyone that I am, could I help them? Okay? If your neighbor calls you at 3 o'clock in the morning because their tire's flat and they ask if you can come out and give them a hand putting on their spare tire, okay? You don't really want to get up out of bed at 3 a.m. Maybe you have to drive 2, 3, 4 miles away to go help somebody with that. You don't really want to, but can you? And will you? Okay? It's not always about getting something back in return. It's not always about getting an eye for an eye. Remember, the good deeds that you do now will pay dividends in different ways in the future. It's not always that one-to-one. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this evening. This has been one of my favorite episodes that I've probably had this entire year. I've had a great time talking with you all. I love the discussion that we had in the comments. I love the interview that we did today. I love the items that we had. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful, relaxing week. Thank you so much, everyone, for making this possible. And guys, honestly, remember this. If you don't make that money, someone else will. This has been Reseller Roundup for October 20th, 2019. Guys, have a great night.